Coming up on the launch.
Tim McInnerny, straight off the set of Gladiator 2, straight to us.
I'd have been fanboying meeting him.
It was tough, quite frankly, and the film industry is very tough.
Lead character is hypnotised and witnesses some murders from what might be his past life, because it's about past life regression.
We don't just know our audience, we've built an audience as well.
Hi everyone, welcome to The Launch, a podcast by founders for founders. Today I wanted to introduce to you Rachel and Simeon from GrimmFest Films, who've been doing a recent film called Past Life. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Great to be here.
What we wanted to talk about today was some of the background of Simeon and Rachel, how they got into setting up their own company, how they got into producing films, and also a bit about their new most recent film as well. So I guess to start off, it'd be great to hear a bit about your backstory and how you got into doing what you were doing.
Well, Rachel and I came together in about 2007.
1st of April 2007.
Wow.
Strong month, April. It's when me and my wife met.
We both decided it was time that we wanted to make a feature-length movie.
Yeah.
I'd made short films as a director, and I'd worked previously as a designer and art director. I'd spent many years working at companies like Granada TV in Manchester, and doing jobs for the BBC and various different people. But I really wanted to direct, and I'd been designing sets for TV shows. So I started directing short films. By the time I reached that particular date, I was looking to make something bigger. I'd made about 4 short films as a director, and Rachel had been working in corporates and commercials and wanted to get into producing feature films and drama.
I'd spent all my working life working for a production company, and we predominantly did a lot of corporate videos, but for big blue chip companies, and some TV commercials and some bits of TV. But the pair of us had spent all our time up till then in production, so we knew all about production. And from my side as a producer, I had been a director, and then I produced, and then I directed and produced. But I knew that I really wanted to produce. So Simeon approached me with his low-budget horror, teenage horror script, and it wasn't something that I'd actually thought about horror. I hadn't actually watched a lot of horror. I love sci-fi, but I wasn't as keen on the horror. So yeah, we came together. I managed to I left my full-time job, and we managed to raise the finance through EIS and SEIS.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was in 2008. We finally made our first movie. And
What was the name of that film?
our first film was called Splintered.
Yeah.
So yeah, and learned a lot. I learned a hell of a lot. And I think what's really interesting about that was, certainly from my point of view, I didn't realise how important it was to understand your audience. I think that was probably a massive failing of mine. But after that, because we didn't have distribution in the UK, and I'd raised all this money, and so I decided with Simeon that we would, well, actually it was Simeon's idea, to put on a showcase of our film and maybe a couple of other low-budget horrors that we knew also didn't have distribution. And we would invite distributors up to this northern showcase of horror, and not knowing at that time nobody from London was going to come to Manchester. It was tough, quite frankly, and the film industry is very tough.
Yeah.
So I went down to London, met with lots of distributors, and said, would you like to come see our Northern Showcase? To which they went, no, but do you want some movies for your Northern Showcase? And GrimmFest was born in 2009. And we had something like, it was supposed to be like 1 day, 3 movies. It was 3 days, 27 movies, 12 world premieres. And yeah, GrimmFest was born.
Yes.
Fantastic.
So from that point onwards, we were running an international film festival with a focus on genre cinema and particularly horror cinema, as well as making films.
Yeah.
So another string to our bow, which is continued, and it's gone from strength to strength. So this year will be our 17th edition. Yeah. I can't do the maths. And so it's become an event on the calendar for genre filmmakers and genre audiences. So we have filmmakers from all around the world who really want to get their films into our festival, which is great.
Love that.
So we get submitted a lot of incredible movies,
Yeah.
short films and feature films. And we run the festival in the first weekend of October. We run it for 4 days, and we try and squeeze in as many movies as we can. And we mainly focus on brand new films that haven't actually been released yet. So you get to see world premieres and UK premieres and things like that. And we've made some incredible friends and colleagues through the process. Got to know a lot of amazingly talented filmmakers. Got to know many film distributors and sales companies as well, because they started sending us their movies because they wanted their films to be in the festival. So it's been a real benefit for us because it's enabled us to kind of really learn about the film industry, not only as filmmakers but also kind of as exhibitors.
Yeah. I think they call that a pivot these days, don't they?
Yeah.
I think they do.
Yeah.
But, just coming back to that thing about we really now know our audience.
Yeah.
We don't just know our audience, we've built an audience as well. So what was great, on the film that we just made, which is my 5th movie, we were able to put out, a call out to our GrimmFest fan base, and if days that we needed extras for the movie.
Love that.
Yeah, we managed to get free extras.
Yeah.
But also, building that community, because I think it's so important in this modern age, because actually it is about building communities. Whatever it is you're doing, whatever it is you're making, whether it's milk bottle tops or feature films. We very recently, about 3 years ago, we actually set up a film arm of the festival. So, because it made business sense, really. GrimmFest is known throughout the world now. So, whereas the other production company that we'd made our other films through wasn't that well, it's just a production company. Unless you're making really, really big stuff, like Bad Robot, say, most people wouldn't know. Not even distributors. So it made business sense to open the production arm of the festival. And so Past Life is our first film that we've done through the production arm of GrimmFest Films.
Fantastic. So that's how GrimmFest Films was born then, I guess. And Past Life, do you want to tell us a bit about your current movie?
Well, I'm going to open it up to the director to tell you all about our latest movie.
Okay. So Past Life is a psychological thriller with kind of horror elements to it. We wanted to make, because we made like 3 movies that prior to that, which are, I guess, are more horror focused. And we wanted to make this one something that, maybe people who aren't really into their horror movies might also want to see. So it's got elements of a whodunit in it. It's a psychological thriller, but there are kind of horror elements as well. We worked a long time on the screenplay to really hone it. And it's taken a long while for us to raise the finance and get it all together. And we finally shot it this year, back in March, and we're now in post-production. So we're cutting the film, sorting out all the music and the VFX work and everything else in post. And it should be completed by about September. And we had some incredible actors in the film. We reached out to people like Jeremy Piven, American actor who was famous for his role in Entourage, and he played Mr. Selfridge, which people may have seen on ITV, the ITV TV series. He plays a mysterious hypnotist in our film. And who else did we have in the film? We had Aneurin Barnard, who's a Welsh actor who has been in many, many films and dramas, and a very, very exciting young actor. And
is in a big movie this year coming out.
Our movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Not the Star movie, but he's in another big movie.
A bigger
so,
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Are we allowed to say which one that is?
I think we are.
Go on then.
Is it Rogue Troopers?
You don't know, do you?
It's Rogue Troopers, yeah.
Rogue Trooper.
Trooper.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
there you go.
There you go.
It's a 2000 AD spin-off. So from Judge Dredd.
Right.
in that
Okay. Yeah.
Arena. So that's
He's
that's
the lead
exciting
in it.
for him.
Is
Yes,
he?
yeah.
Oh,
And he's also
wow.
playing Jimmy White, the snooker player, in a biography of Jimmy White
Is
coming
he
up.
actually?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So, and Aaron's one of those actors that, I think very soon he's going to be a big time star because
He's
he's a
incredible.
very good actor, doing a lot of different things.
After I came down to the set and had a look around, I checked him out actually because I'd not heard of him before that, and I was really impressed with some of the stuff that he's been involved in, and it seems like he's got a really accomplished career, so a lot of time for that.
Yeah.
And he's quite a diverse range of things as well, like you say. So
Yeah.
He's
an
an
actor's
actor.
an actor's actor. There you go.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. We had Pixie Lott.
All right. Yeah. Very good.
Who was
One for the
absolutely...
boys.
She was wonderful. And the girls. Yeah,
And the
she was
girls.
absolutely wonderful. A really lovely, lovely person, but also great actress. Amazing. She's
a
really...
musician originally, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, she started singing and composing when she was 13.
Oh wow. What a
You know?
talent.
Yeah, she is incredibly talented and just such a lovely person.
Yeah, I think her acting career is going to start to fly.
Yeah.
Because she was great to work with, wasn't she? And her performance is brilliant in the film.
Yeah.
So, she's multi-talented. She's had all these kind of hits,
Yeah.
musical hits.
Triple threat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we had Tim McInnerny, straight off the set of Gladiator 2, straight to us.
I'd have been fanboying meeting him.
Yeah.
What a nice guy.
Well, of course, he's famous from Blackadder.
Well, yeah, exactly, precisely. But he was in Game of Thrones as well, wasn't he? So
He's been in lots of things.
Yeah,
but
exactly,
really
yeah.
great.
But
Really
again,
great actor.
just so lovely.
yeah,
So lovely. Really nice to work with. Just one of those people that the moment that you meet him, it's like you've known him all your life. Really
Fantastic,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we maybe not finally. Don't know if we've covered everybody, but all the key actors. We had an actor called Nicholas Farrell, who is one of those guys that is like, wow, he's been in everything.
yeah,
He is a veteran, I suppose you'd call it, of stage and screen.
Yeah.
He's famous, I guess, back in the 80s for Chariots of Fire.
Oh yeah.
Film called Chariots of Fire, which was a big hit then. And he's been in so much since then. And a real, a real gent and a great performer. Brilliant. So in terms of the whodunit element to the film,
Yeah.
so the basic structure of the premise of the film is that our lead character is hypnotized and witnesses some murders from what might be his past life, because it's about past life regression,
Yeah.
which is a thing, apparently.
My wife told me about it. I was not aware of it actually, but she's into all sorts of spirituality and stuff like that. And she talked about meditation and talking about past life regression and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I get the general premise of it from a layman's point of view, but how do you go about producing a film like that? And also you had the main role in writing it, I guess, as well, didn't you? So how do you?
I worked. We had a couple of writers called Ray Bogdanovich and Dean Lyons, and I worked very closely with them developing the project. And we developed it from a one-line idea all the way through to God knows how many drafts of the screenplay we had by the time we started filming the thing. But it went on a long journey. Yeah, they simply came to me with like a one-line idea, and I said, that sounds great. So they wrote a bit more, and maybe a paragraph. I said, yeah, okay, this is good. And then expanded it, and eventually we got to the story structure, and then we turned it into a screenplay. It's a great kind of subject matter to write a thriller around.
Yeah.
This idea of, have we lived a past life? Do we believe in reincarnation? What happened in your past life? In the film, the suggestion is that our lead character's past life was pretty dark, and that person did some terrible things, murders, which have never been solved. And so he partners with the hypnotist to relive his past life and try to find clues to who this murderer might have been.
Oh, wow.
That's the basic premise. And then we discover that maybe the murderer could still be alive. And if he's still alive, like, how could it be a past life? You have to watch the film to find the answer to that. And which one of our characters from Jeremy Piven, Tim McInnerny, and Nicholas Farrell, who are all old enough to have been around in the 80s, could one of them have been the killer?
Oh, wow.
So apparently, we've been told it's going to be released either December or January. December 25 or January 26.
Fantastic.
So not long to wait, actually.
Excited, nervous?
Well, just getting through it because we're still right in the middle of all the post-production at the moment. So we're working on the VFX and also a thing called ADR, which is additional replacement. I don't even know what it stands for. ADR, additional dialogue replacement.
Yeah.
Overdubbing.
Yeah. So just
Do a bit of that.
Yeah.
You always end up having to do a little bit of that. It's still the fine tuning now, trying to make it the best it can be. You know, in post, you try and it's like polishing it up. Keep polishing, keep polishing, keep trying to make it the very best it can be and look the very best it can.
Very good. And then what's your process for launching it? What's your process for distributing it?
Good question. Not really sure yet. That's one for you, Rach.
well, we already have a distributor.
Yeah.
And they're having talks with Netflix and Sky, and so it's really them. You know, we've already we're in a very fortunate position, and I think you know, some of it is because of our place in the industry that we're known, and we've got a great project.
How big is your audience, by the way? How big is your community that you've managed to build up? I meant to ask that before.
That is a good question. It fluctuates depending on what happens with the Facebook algorithm.
And who you ask.
So,
I don't actually. I need
Do you know
to,
what?
We
I'll
need
have
to
a look.
yeah, go and have a look. Yeah, because.
But obviously, this is our audience for GrimmFest, not necessarily for our individual
absolutely,
films,
yeah.
but for the festival.
I know that our YouTube channel has over 2,000 viewers.
Wow. And I guess for YouTube, that's you will have then very engaged subscribers, I guess. If you've got over 2,000 engaged subscribers, that's pretty good. And 10,000 followers on Facebook.
We haven't really exploited the YouTube channel very much, actually. So it's time for us to kind of expand on that. We've focused over the years on the more conventional social media platforms, I guess.
Yeah.
And it depends where your audience is at, doesn't it? I mean, we use Facebook a lot, and we use Twitter a lot, and Instagram. They're our main social media platforms for GrimmFest.
Yeah.
We might branch out into some of the other platforms as we progress, but that seems to work quite well with our audience range. You know, our audience tends to be maybe older skewed, as in, you know, not youngsters, not teenagers. Tends to be in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s.
Yeah. And 60s.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's an audience that wants to come out and see movies on the big screen.
Yeah.
That's our GrimmFest audience. So, but, you know, bearing in mind we wear the two hats of running a film festival and making movies, and going back to talking about the festival. And that audience is probably an older skewed audience to a degree, I think, you know.
And just coming back to, you know, obviously this podcast is about founders, and just in terms of where we started, we were gunning to make movies.
Yeah.
That is our passion. We knew it was never about making piles and piles of money. And if that's your process, then film producing is so feast and famine. So I don't advise it for anybody who wants to get rich quick, put it that way.
Yeah.
But that's not what our thing's about. It's about our passion.
Yeah.
Our passion for film, which has grown into the festival as well, and passionate, you know, for the genre, actually.
But film is a funny thing, though, because, I mean, from a financial point of view, investing into maybe more than one film, but also what comes back revenue-wise on a film can take time, you know, and you can have a movie that like we've got some of our older films that are still bringing back, you know, little chunks of revenue every year because they still keep getting exploited in different places in different countries. Still countries that are buying, we made a movie called White Settlers back in about 2017, and that one starred Pollyanna McIntosh, she's one of the stars in the Walking Dead TV series.
All right.
But she's a Scottish actress. And we made this little movie with her, which was a kind of horror movie, really, a home invasion horror movie. And that film just keeps giving.
I just agreed another deal on it like a month or so ago, So whilst I'm saying it's not about get rich quick, it's about it's a numbers game, really. So the more films you make, the more chance of more money you're going to make. So
absolutely.
But it's been a very organic process in terms of setting up and being, a film production company, and then having the festival, and it's a very symbiotic relationship that we have with both our caps. But there aren't many film producers that have their own festival, so it's quite a unique position to be in.
Absolutely. Well, I guess you're positioned to, more than most films, really know your audience, know what you're tapping into, and to produce something that's reverse engineered that you think that will entertain them and that will really catch their attention, I guess. So I think it's really clever what you've done, and I think that pivot at the start to put on a film festival to build your audience first, you've naturally kind of created your own audience. One of the guys that I follow on social media, Daniel Priestley, he talks about supply and demand tension. And what you've done there is you had the supply but no demand, so then you created the demand to then supply it with the thing that you wanted to supply it with. So I think very clever of you. And
I'm not sure that thought process was a totally deliberate thought process when we were going through it.
No,
but it's funny how these things happen organically, don't they? Yeah. And then you look back and you go, "Oh, it kind of makes sense now."
Yeah. We got there, through, the shameless self-promotion for our own film. To be honest, the reason why GrimmFest became the success that it is today. I mean, that's mainly down to Simeon. He puts a lot of effort.
Well, it's also about knowing what you are good at and staying focused on it. I think that's really important. I think that's probably really important in whatever you are involved with if you're running your own company structure. We know the genre world. When I say the genre world, it tends to mean kind of horror. Yeah. We generally call it genre cinema because it does step into we call the festival fantastic film, which gives it a broader spectrum, a broader umbrella. Because we might choose to make or screen science fiction films or something that's a thriller or something, but it tends to mean stuff that's in that arena, that ballpark. It wouldn't be a drama. We wouldn't put on a kitchen sink drama. Put it that way.
Yeah.
And our fans tend to be focused on the horror genre, so we know that, and that's what we play to. We stick to it because we know it well.
Yeah.
We keep track of what's going on in the genre. A lot of our contacts in the industry, are focused in that area. We know a lot of the people that run the other film festivals around the world that focus in that area. So you're able to see what the trends are. You're able to see what new filmmakers are excited for, what they're doing, what they're making, but you're also able to see what audiences are looking for and what they're excited about. So it's keeping your finger on that button all the time and kind of knowing it, and I'm sure that's the same for every industry.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing that impresses me about what you're doing is that you're focused on innovation as well. In a world where there's lots of reproductions of old films or kind of second, third, fourth extension of the same film series and whatever else, the Marvel universe, to use that as an example. It seems like you're trying to focus in on creating new stories, creating new ideas, and to try and bring something new to cinema, which I think is actually, most people would agree, is really valuable.
Absolutely.
I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, we're actually being invited to do quite a lot of other things.
Seem surprised at that.
Yeah. Well, because we've been Lord and Lady Grimm for like 17 years. So I'm exec producing a TV show for a big company. And Simeon is working on his next project, which is a whodunit. I've also been asked to produce a
Might have a bit of
Christmas
horror in there.
movie. So
Christmas movie.
yeah,
It's a new one.
well,
Can it be a Christmas horror movie?
no.
There's a gap for that.
Well, I have produced a Christmas movie that seems to be ubiquitously on Channel 5 from November to December every year, called A Very British Christmas. And the distributor, actually, that's distributing Past Life, picked that film up, and it's been for whatever reason, it's highest performing Christmas movie that they've had. So they would like us to do another one.
Oh, very good.
So yeah, it's just weird how things come about. So whilst we've still got our feet firmly planted in the horror genre, we are doing other things as well.
Do you feel like, because you said at the beginning, you weren't kind of into horror when you first came to work with me, and we did the first film, which was a horror film. Has that changed, do you think?
Yeah,
I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sick of it now.
Yeah, no, I have a huge respect for the horror genre and the people that love the genre as well. The most groundbreaking movies, a lot of them are in the horror genre, because that's the place that storytelling, the boundaries of storytelling get pushed first, and then you see that seep into other parts of film and TV content.
Blair Witch, The Ring, Final Destination, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about all those big time directors, huge Hollywood directors, people like Spielberg or Cameron or any of those people, you look at how they started out, nearly all of them, their first films were horror films.
Tarantino.
They cut their teeth on horror movies.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess you can have a bit more fun with it as well, because the audience has a bit more of a creative flexibility to what they're willing to accept, and it's not all about does this storyline make sense. You can create a bit of a world, I guess, of what happens and what doesn't happen.
Absolutely. Does it scare me? And you don't need huge budgets to make a really good genre movie. And you don't need big stars. And I think that's why a lot of young filmmakers, that's where they start, because initially, who's going to give you $20 million to make your first movie?
Yeah.
Nobody.
I mean, what advice would you give to young filmmakers who are starting out to, how to get on their journey? You've managed to accrue a huge amount of experience, and you've learned what works and what doesn't. So, what would you share to
right.
others?
From my point of view as a producer, story. It's all about the script. If you don't have a good script, you're never going to have a good movie. It's that simple.
It's a very good point, very good point. And we've learnt that as we've gone along, and our scripts have got much better as we've gone along. And it means that, the better your project, and your project generally the focus of it is the script, the better your film's going to be. And therefore, also, you look at the great cast we got in this film. The reason we got that such a great cast was because we had a great script. They read the script and wanted to be in it because it's cool and captivating and really interesting piece. And gripping, a gripping script. And so Rachel's right, it's really vital, it's really important. And one of the hardest things to get right and to either develop or find a really good script is tough,
Yeah.
But I think the other thing is just to say you just got to work hard and keep going and never give up.
Yeah.
I never gave up. I've never given up. I just, for me, making short films, it was tough. And it's remained tough. Making films isn't easy, and it's not always a way to bring in great revenue. I mean, you can spend a long time, quite often, developing a film project. It could take years. I mean, Past Life probably took us, I won't say how many years it took us to finally get it shot, and it's still not there yet. It's still not finished, but it's taken us quite a few years. From the initial seed of the idea to getting the film shot. And all through that period of time, that project isn't bringing back any revenue. It's only when the film is finished and is out there in the marketplace that it's potentially bringing back revenue. So you've got to be in for the long haul, and you've got to believe in what you're doing and just keep going at it. And once you've done one, you move on to the next.
Yeah, I can imagine. From your perspective, we're talking about potentially doing things on YouTube and the future of cinema and how it might change. Have you thought about doing not a day in the life of, but I guess a docu-series maybe about the production of your next film? Maybe that could be something which could be interesting. And
No.
No, just ready for a break.
Well, I think you don't. When you're in it, you just don't have the time.
Yeah, I bet.
And it is all encompassing. You can't do anything else. It takes up every second of your life once you're in production. So to stop and try and do a little something else that isn't necessarily.
I think you've got to bring in. I think that's something we did have behind the scenes stuff on Past Life, and we have had that on the previous films, and on this one, we had a team of people that were interviewing and stuff like that. But it was finding times that we could get the cast not being on set, not shooting with me, to go and do a little interview about the film. So we did some of that stuff, but to build a bigger kind of behind the scenes thing, maybe it takes organisation, doesn't it? You almost need another crew.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what we had. We had another crew that were nothing to do with the film. They were just the behind what's called EPK, electronic press kit. So, and that's what the sales agents and the distributor will use. Little bits of snippets of video interviews with the cast, with us, to sell the film to every country around the world. So, that, I guess it's for a different thing, really, as opposed to just putting it out there for a day of the life. It's for a very specific thing, which is marketing of the film, really.
I guess once you've got a good story as well, the other thing that people will tend to look for is who's in it, what's the talent.
I was about to say that.
I guess you've got to then maximise the energy of those people while you've got them as well. And really you want to be focusing on the film and not kind of doing too much of stuff off camera. Because from what I gather from what you were saying, it's pretty intense while you're doing it. And I guess you're spending long days, and I guess that's pretty energy zapping. So by the time you're done, people probably don't want to be doing behind the scenes stuff either.
No, well, generally we were doing 12-hour days on camera, and then you've got, before you get there, and then when you're wrapping up. So, generally my day was probably 14, 16-hour days.
Wow.
So,
but thinking about the cast, I think we've learned so much, particularly on this film, about how a level of cast in terms of great actors, but also actors that people know of, they've seen in other things, and are stars, I guess, of the screen, brings a whole nother level of interest in your film, financial interest as well, and enabling you to be able to sell that film at a level that will bring great profits back. And I think that journey's been interesting for us, hasn't it? Understanding how you make that work, understanding how you attract that level of cast. And now we'll take that forward onto our future projects, attracting, great cast. You need good projects with good scripts, which we've got, which we've spent time developing. But you might not have very long with that cast. And that's like you were saying just before, it's like, because they'll tend to be an expensive commodity as part of the film. If they're a big known actor, their fee is going to be of a level, and their time is going to be limited with you. So often you're having to, really try to maximize your time with them. That was a big learning curve as well in this film, wasn't it? Understanding how you schedule the whole film around the various different factors, one of the big ones being availability of the actors. For instance, Pixie Lott couldn't be with us all the times we wanted her because she was maybe doing a gig or she was on stage somewhere doing something else. So, that starts to become quite a difficult element to it, trying to schedule people's time around the film and only having a certain amount of days with them that you've got to shoot all their scenes, you know.
I guess what you learn the longer you do something is that there are lots of efficiencies that you're not even aware of that are pretty much invisible when you're starting out doing something, and you don't realise that you can get more out of something by doing it a certain way, or that you can save a bit of money here or make a bit extra money there. And I guess those are the kind of the trial and error things that you learn, or the efficiencies that you generate through experience. But anyway, thank you very much for your time both today.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been great hearing about how you started out and about the film as well, and best of luck. I'm looking forward to seeing how it's doing, and thank you very much for watching. Looking forward to hearing your feedback on this one in the comments. Cheers for watching.
Thank you. Bye.